but I'm here with a great guest today. He's got a resume that spans over 40 years of tennis, which is amazing. So he's the Star Ledger Coach of the Year in 2017. He is also the USPTA Eastern Pro of the Year in 1999. He's the owner and director of Bob Bynum's Match Point Tennis.
Actually, it's Bynum Tennis now.
Bynum Tennis now. There we go. He's also the coach of the Fairleigh Dickinson Devils men's and women's tennis team in college. He is certified as a high-performance instructor, an elite tennis competitor instructor, and certified as a tennis professional. Bob Bynum. Bob, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. 40 years of tennis, and you're still here.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, but one I would take all over again if I had to.
So let's start. So how'd you get started in tennis?
I'm embarrassed to answer that question. I was in my freshman year in high school, and the tennis coach was the music teacher, and music was my last class of the day. I had no interest in music. I would cut music. And so one day he came to me and said, "Hey, you're about to drop a C in music. I need guys on the tennis team. Come out for the tennis team. I can work with you on the grade." That's how I got into tennis. I wish I could say I was inspired. I wasn't. I was threatened into tennis. And from the day I hit that first ball at that first practice, honestly, the rest of the year, I played every day. Rain, snow, didn't bother me. 2 years later, I started teaching with Essex County. Started teaching with adults, which is unusual. Usually when you're younger, you start with younger kids. I started with adults, so I had to be on point on a lot of different areas. And that helped me in terms of my development as a pro and as a coach eventually. So that's my start.
Obviously, you were a competitor, right, before you became a coach, right? So how did that change or affect the way you coach? How did that help you or change the way you look at coaching the sport, basically?
Well, when I first started, I was lucky enough to have a lot of different coaches. I learned to play in a public park environment. There were a lot of guys who played different styles of play, different philosophies about playing. And I found that I started taking bits and pieces of it, of everything I heard, as I moved forward into coaching. And I put it all together to kind of develop a certain style. The key being my philosophy is I'm partnering with the student. We're working together on this. And I've learned something from every student I've ever had over the years, and that's helped me as an instructor. It's helped me as a coach. It's helped me as a pro. Maybe back in the day, it helped me as a player.
So you coached high school tennis?
Coached high school.
College tennis. And also people on the pro level as well. What's some coaching mindset or coaching technique used for all three of those?
Interesting. Again, the partnership aspect of it works well, and I apply that to teams as well. I'm not here to just tell you what to do. I've learned, especially as I've gotten older, that you can learn a lot from what the students offer to you if you're willing to listen to it. So one of the things I've applied to all three is that concept of partnership, and I think it's helped me not only to develop as a coach, but it also helps my players when they have some input into what's going on, and I can adapt to what they're thinking and what they're doing, and that's an important element when you're coaching because you can't coach everyone the same way. You need different aspects, some you can push, some you have to coddle, some you have to handhold, some you have to threaten, and whatever it takes.
So it's kind of a mixture of you altering yourself to them and them altering you a little bit.
You have to have some fluidity there, or you're going to get into a rut, or you can only coach certain types of players, or you can only coach players that buy into what you're doing. I've had to adjust and adapt what I do with different players to fit the situations that I have with them. And I'm kind of proud of that because it allows you to coach a lot of different people and it allows you to coach teams even though you're dealing with each person individually as well as within the team concept. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to adapt to what's going on, not try to rush it, not try to keep it too slow. And it's a tough assignment sometimes, particularly when you're talking about either parents or you're talking about expectations from outside influences. And you have to be patient enough to recognize that this is where the player is going to get, and you have to think long term.
Yeah, so I've coached red ball primarily the past 3.5 years, and they've been amazing. Some of the kids I've seen leaps and bounds, right? You have, there's some parents that are very patient. There's some parents that are not very patient. They see them hit 2 balls of a net, and they're like, okay, what seed are they going to be Wimbledon next year? It's like, it's like,
that.
yeah, right. So it's like there's a saying that it's hard to raise parents sometimes when you're coaching their kids. And so my question to you is, you have parents that come up to you saying, hey, I want this kid to be D1, D3, tennis. At some point you realize they don't have it. They don't have what benefit do they get from still pursuing tennis?
Quite often, parents have to be coached just as the players are, because my philosophy, some coaches, they don't want to have anything to do with parents. Go sit down over there, let me work with the kid. The parent's going to see the kid a lot more than I will. A lot more than I will. So, and I'm going to have to get feedback from them as well as from the player. And so it works for me to coach the players, to coach the parents on what we're doing, why we're doing it, what I'm looking for, because I need them to see what I need them to see when they're watching their player, and not what they think, what they see and what they feel is going on.
And so now, circling over to the USPTA side of things, getting certified by the USPTA, right? Like, how did that change you as a pro? How did that basically, what was that process like as well?
Well, when I started teaching professionally, I was teaching for almost 15 years before I got my certification. I never saw a need to have it. I was doing fine. I knew what I was doing, or at least I thought I knew what I was doing. And one of the advantages when I finally did take that step to get certified, and it was pretty much on a dare from someone, so I said, oh, yeah, I can do this. So I took the exam, passed, and started to network. And that was where the key was. Networking with a lot of different pros from a lot of different areas, a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different concepts. And that helped me as a coach and as a pro.
The way the process is and the way you think it should be are the same thing, or two things, basically?
I think USPTA, compared to other organizations, I think ours is more of an educational type thing. And it over a period of time. You can't walk in and be certified right away and then drive out the next day and call yourself a pro. You can't do that. But we go through a process, and during that process, you learn during that process. And that's why it's important to go through that. And you learn before you're tested. You learn after you're tested. And I think that gives us an advantage over a lot of other organizations, that we're willing to take the time to do that. It isn't just, instant.
All right, let's talk about the Fairleigh Dickinson team a little bit. Like,
Okay.
What was your approach, right, going into teaching college tennis, and how have they been doing under your guidance?
Well, we've been doing pretty well. The biggest advantage, I think, the biggest difference between coaching high school and college, I found, is that in high school, you can only coach players on the changeovers. They come to the fence. You tell them what you want to tell them, and they go back out. In college, you're on the court, and you're actually able to communicate with the players between points and things like that. And that, now you're coaching in real time. I mean, I've been coaching kids that we turn things around in the middle of a match, and that's harder to do at the high school and tournament level.
I had no idea you guys could coach in between, like, points, pretty much. And
You're actually on the court in college.
Look
and
at that.
It makes for some long days, because college matches are a lot longer than high school matches.
There's no clock in tennis, as people watching this, I assume. No. And another part of that is the coaching element of tennis is starting to get more just all around the board. Now the ATP, it's like, you can coach.
Yeah. Well, I've always been an advocate for coaching, even at the pro level, but even go back to the junior level. A lot of coaches and parents, their mindset is, well, the kid should be able to figure it out. I got a 12-year-old kid on the court who hasn't even figured out yet how to clean his room. And yet I'm asking him to go out there by himself and solve the problems that are presented on the tennis court. When you think about individual sports, tennis is about the only individual sport where a kid is sent out there and supposed to do it on their own. Mm-hmm. Well, wait a minute. In golf, you've got a caddy. In boxing, you've got someone in the corner. But tennis, you're supposed to figure out on your own that kid's backhand is better than his forehand.
Sweet. And now, that's an interesting thing you bring up about the mental side and the fact that you need to get coached. I made a short film called Sphinx last October about I play basically a tennis player who's literally seeing demons while he's practicing for tennis. Mm-hmm. Like these nightmares. It's like darkness and scariness, and it's
We've
like
all been there.
Exactly. And so it's almost like people look at it and they're like, we went to festivals as the people are kind of like laughing. That was kind of crazy. But then you talk, every tennis player I talk to, they're like, no, that's like pretty much what we're thinking while we're there. Right? I don't know if you read Open by Andre Agassi. He hated every second on the court. He thought he was the only one. He started talking to Steffi Graf. She said, no, we all hate it. I'm number one. I hate it. You're number one. You hate it. We all hate it. It's a pretty brutal
Everybody's
sport.
going through the same thing.
Yeah. So with that said, there are some players on the tour. There's an American drought for Grand Slams, right? There's been a while since somebody's won a Grand Slam. Who's the next American to win a Grand Slam?
I would have said Tiafoe, but I don't know, because there's a certain, when you look at the more successful guys over the last few years, your Nadals, your Federers, your Djokovic's, there's a Murray's, there's a certain mindset that you have to develop as a player, both physically, because these guys train to play 35 sets, 7 5-set matches. A lot of players don't take that preparation. And so to get through a Grand Slam where you might have a tough 5-setter and the next day you've got to play another 5-setter, physically a lot of guys can't hold up. Mentally, the single-mindedness that you have to get there, a lot of players can't do that. It's a tough struggle mentally to stay that focused for 7 matches to win a Grand Slam. It's hard. I don't think a lot of players, their goal is, a lot of pro players, their goal is to win a Grand Slam. Their goal might be to make a lot of money, get some endorsements, go on, live a happy life. When you have that mindset that you want to win, and look at Djokovic at 36 years old, the guy still wants that, and it still was a lot better than guys that were 10 years younger than him. So to answer your question back again.
I've been waiting for a name. Yeah.
well, I think Tiafoe, you got, Taylor Fritz is good. They're good. But where's the great? They're going to have to do a little bit more.
I'm thinking, I don't know why, as a dark horse, I'm thinking either Chris Eubanks or Ben Shelton. Only reason I say, quick points. Like, Taylor Fritz, he's got a big serve. I see a lot more aces from Shelton. I see a lot more aces from Eubanks. Eubanks is obviously almost 7 feet tall. That could be an advantage and a disadvantage that we've seen in some guys' careers that are that tall. But they can win some quick points. They hold serve easily. I think that makes it much more easily for them to get a deep draw. If they're playing less physical matches, they end up in the quarters. They maybe get a tired person. It could work out for them. But as for right now, it's been a little bit of a drought. So
what's going to get us from good to great?
I don't know the answer. I don't think a lot of people know the answer.
It's almost like you can't predict it. It's like saying a kid at 12 and in the 12 and unders is going to be a great player, and by 16s he's not even playing anymore.
Yeah.
So it really depends on how they're coached, on what their teams do for them, on what type of teams they put together to get them to that next level. It's a process.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll be willing to go through that process. I think all of them, Tiafoe, Fritz, Shelton, they've got a taste now, and usually getting that taste gives you an idea of, okay, this is what I'm going to have to do next.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with that said, let's get on to our trivia.
Okay.
Just to see test here.
Pressure time.
Yeah, right. Let's see it.
God.
We're going to start.
You're going to embarrass me here.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Stop. We're going to start. Ahead. We already talked about who we think our next American to win a Grand Slam is, right?
Okay.
So now, Bob, who was the last American male to win a Grand Slam?
Andy Roddick.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, give me a next one. Give me another one.
2003 U.S. Open. I actually met Andy Roddick. I got his signature somewhere on here. My hero got me into tennis. Shout out. I actually met him, told him that. He was a great dude.
Oh, okay.
So he's awesome. True or false, Andy Murray has been in 11 Grand Slam finals.
I'd say false.
It's actually true.
Oh boy! Wow, look at the time. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, right. His record is 3-8 in Grand Slam finals.
Really?
But he's been in every Grand Slam final. He can be. He's won Wimbledon twice and US Open once. Also a gold medalist. So there's that as well.
Okay.
Name the only 2 people to beat Rafa Nadal at the French Open.
Soderling?
Yes, Robin Soderling is one.
I'm drawing a blank.
It is a very cliche answer. Novak Djokovic.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
I'm never coming on here again.
Yeah, right? Who was the first African-American woman to win a Grand Slam?
And that was Althea Gibson.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Fun fact, guess what the prize money was for Althea Gibbs when she won her first Grand Slam?
I don't think they had prize money.
There was
when she
no
won
prize
it.
money.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Okay.
And the last one, true or false, Roger Federer has the most singles titles in the Open era. This is a tricky one.
I would say false.
That is correct. Jimmy Connors.
That's what I thought.
With
Jimmy
109 titles
Yeah.
to Roger's 103.
That's
Not
what
too
I thought.
shabby.
Okay.
But yeah, that's if it.
I'm a Federer guy.
Yeah.
I love Federer,
Yeah.
but I knew it wasn't. He wasn't the one that held the record.
Look at that. See, you did pretty good. I would say.
Wow.
Look at
Okay,
that.
I didn't embarrass myself. I feel better.
Yeah, right. Those are pretty tough too. But anyways, Bob, do you have any more messages you want to say to the USPTA in general, or anything like that?
I just think that it's something that a lot of young people who are interested in getting into tennis as a profession, be it full time or part time, really need to take certification seriously, and the benefits of it will last them throughout their teaching and coaching careers. And I think a lot of times younger people are not thinking that they need it, and it's not about whether you need it. It's just having it will make you better. Similar to getting a degree. A degree doesn't make you smarter than the next guy. It means you went through a certain process to get that. And that's why it's important, I think, for younger people especially. Even if you're older and been teaching a while, or you're older and you just work with the neighborhood kids, you're still going to benefit from being certified and having this organization behind you. So.
And just basically getting an outside source to educate you rather than your own knowledge, and hopefully you're doing pretty well as a tennis pro. If you're thinking about starting it, it's a great industry, and I support it as much as you and the next person. So thank you, Bob.
It.
Thank you, Bob, for coming here. You're very busy.
Thank
Good
you for
luck
having me.
in the season with the girls team this year. I'm sure you got practice going on now.
Yeah, we do.
And in the next marking period, or semester, I should say, with the boys tennis team. I've been looking at your record. It's
men's tennis.
Men's tennis team.
Yeah,
I saw that. Yes. Go Devils.
There you go.
Go Devils. Good luck to you with that. And thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you so much for having us.